Hello and welcome back to Spirit Lounge. Hope you guys are doing well. And to continued instalment of the Buddhist text, the Pali Canon. Again, we're continuing on with the Majjhima Nikaya, which is that second collection of the 5, and we're going into the Majjhima Pannasa, which is the second of 3 Pannasas that comprise the Majjhima Nikaya. So Nikaya. Let's go through that now, and I'll share my screen. Okay, so let me just get up onto my screen so I can see it clearly. Again, the Tipitaka, as we mentioned, dhammas, which are teachings, collections, which are nikayas. This is the second of 5. The Digha we've completed. And it contains the Buddha's teachings, and the Tipitaka means a basket of knowing, basket of teachings and sections. The Sutta, Abhidhamma, and Vinyana. The Suttas are building blocks, effectors, building up Vagas building up Pannasas building up each Nikaya, and Nikayas building up the 5 collections of the Buddhist Dhamma, which is the teaching. So it's kind of a ladder of evolving knowledge and knowing. Okay, so the Majjhima Nikaya, again, it's a collection of median left sermons and discourses, very similar to the Mula Pannasa that we've already the previous video. Okay, the Majjhima Pannasa, the Gahapati Vaga. So this is quite long, but let's just walk through this. And again, this is probably going to be a lengthy video again. Kandaraka Sutta. So training monks who work towards the extinction of desires and are established in the fourfold way to establish mindfulness. And remember, when it talks about monks, it's also talking about anyone who follows Buddhist doctrine, or in fact any philosophy, any transcendental, any metaphysical, any spiritual journey, any practice. It will require the same thing from ourselves. But in this case, he's talking about monks, Buddhist monks, those who follow the doctrine back when this was written. With mindfulness and awareness, reflection upon the body, in order to eliminate craving and unhappiness with the world. Reflection upon the sensations, which are feelings of the 5 senses, eliminate craving and unhappiness with the world. Reflection upon the Buddha's teachings, to achieve freedom from sorrow, suffering, and again, to attain wisdom and attain enlightenment. On the 4 types of people found in the world, and the causes suffering to himself. Those that are yoked by suffering, i.e. attached and constantly suffering it, causes suffering to those who are yoked with suffering, kill other beings. So those who are suffering, nature suffering and intense suffering within themselves, cause that with others, and sometimes by killing other beings. They cause suffering to himself and is yoked to others, yoked to suffering, worldly rulers, and sacrifice living things. So again, this is talking about murderers. This is also talking about politicians, those who run the elites of this world, who constantly nurture war and sacrifice other beings for their own worldly agendas and aims. This is constant and never-ending and unceasing in this world. Those who do not cause suffering to others and are not yoked to causing suffering to others, and do live passionlessly and happily with Buddha's teachings. And though he does not harm a living thing, is compassionate and purifies the mind. The celibate does not lie, is honourable, a uniter, speaks only what is true, not engage in adornment, does not accept slaves, does not own property, does not harm in finding food, controls the 6 senses, lives life isolated from the world, meditates to dispel craving, and develops the heavenly eye. All of the things you can do within remember the brutal duality of the world. Developing these things becomes the strongest spiritual being. You can have all of these things, develop all of these things. Isolated from the world doesn't mean isolated from people. It just means isolated from the material aspects of it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're constantly seeking the companionship of others because you feel lonely. Loneliness is dispelled because the Spirit's within. A very good a passage. I did like those that are yoked to suffering. Obviously those who are who are bad in negative intention and evil in nature, and those who are also yoked to it to cause suffering to themselves because they're constantly causing suffering to others. And those are well known in our world. Those are our leaders, those are the elites, those who are giving our power away too. Okay, the Kangara Sutta on meditation, destroying the five low fetters of self-identity, view of the world, physical view, doubt of ourselves and of spirit, attachment to ritual. Again, this is similar to worshipping those who wear robes. Is doing false rituals. What is ritual? Why do we need to do ritual? And there's absolutely no requirement for sacrifice of any kind. This is another ritual. There's a false doctrine. Since this is worshipping, ritual is really for false and demigods. I'm going to say it. The true all does not require you to give to itself, because it is the all. To ritualize and sacrifice something to it. These are false gods. These are demigods. These are ideas that humanity's created and put them into figures, because it's unable to understand and fathom the all. It fractalizes it into many things. Sense desires and ill will. The Sekha Sutta on becoming a stream winner, which is attaining Sutta, which is basically becoming a non-returner. To cultivate virtue, fears fault, guards against the craving, eats to live the holy life, controls feelings, remains wakeful at all times, is atones for bad karma and generate new good karma, aware of past demeritorious acts, speech and action, understands the illusion of the five aggregates. The Jivaka Sutta, which is false accusation, on monks being allowed to eat meat if they are not seen the killing. This is a false accusation. This is a false determination where you can eat. If you don't see something that's been, just because it hasn't been killed in front of you and you eat it, as in meat, it's not regarded as something that is allowed. Again, eating meat is an option. Yes, it does pass on vibration of the animal and the suffering of the animal. If you are going to eat meat, try to eat something that has had and been given a good life. It's difficult to even know that these days. To trust in labels and organic labels, for example, it's difficult, but it's a choice. It's not something you're damned if you are eating meat. I eat meat. It doesn't mean I'm damned. A Pali Sutta, I try not to eat so much, but I do eat it. A Pali Sutta, wrong view. Bad karma consists of three elements: bodily action, i.e. acts, speech, thought, with bodily action being the most harmful, so it's leading to bodily action. Buddhist doctrine being acceptable to the wise but unacceptable to the foolish. Well, that's obvious. But remember, karma consists but attaches to intention. Intention breeds thoughts, speech and bodily acts. But it's intention where karma is first created, and you can never ever dispel that or move it on to another. It's yours for eternity. The very, very restrict vows, again, this is something that's not needed, and I agree with this. The passage is not one of pain, it's not one of suffering, it's one of enlightened, peaceful happiness and contentment, knowing, unveiling of wisdom, connecting with our origin, which is only happiness. It doesn't require us to punish ourselves along the way. This is what Naitic ascetics and this practice of self-mortification is used for, and is the false one, in hope of heavenly rebirth. So they try to do this as opposed to conducting oneself. They also try to think this is another way of speeding that process up. Self-mortifying behavior of living like a dog, not heavenly, does not go to heavenly rebirth, and not having rebirth as an animal or rebirth in hell. So they're trying to avoid these things. 4 types of action that generate karma: black deeds resulting in black and white karma, black and white karma, neither black or white deeds resulting in black nor white karma, karma that leads to freedom from attachment and suffering. Buddha's declaration of the law of karma Living creatures are the inheritors of their own actions. This is true, regardless of you understand karma or feel its reality. We are the inheritors of every action, word, thought, and intention we give out. We will ultimately all have to balance our karmic cycle here in this life or another. Buddha Vedanya Sutta. Buddha's teachings reliance on intelligence, on the different ways to enumerate feelings, results in teachings on 2 feelings, 3 feelings, 5 feelings, on the 5 chords of sense pleasure, ear, eye, nose, tongue, body, mind. These are the sources of senses. Sphere of consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, the sphere of non-perception or perception, neither perception or non-perception. This is talking about a graded evolution of our awareness. We're awareness of our consciousness, of spiritual consciousness, into a sphere of where we understand the nothingness of the all, and then even a further transcendental nature of either non-perception or perception. This is neither conscious or non-conscious. This is either matter or non-matter. This is either thought or non-thought, manifestation or non-manifestation. This is just isness, the all of just being, of everything itself. Pannasa Sutta. On wrong views prevalent during the Buddha's age, there's no negative or positive repercussions to evil or good deeds. This was something that other disciples of Buddha were passing around when they left Buddha and decided to preach their own doctrine. This is some of the prevalent wrong views that were propagated, saying that we could do right or wrong, and it didn't have any evil or good deeds. We could do these. This is something that that Satanists and Luciferians believe in. They believe that they can do anything because there is no karmic debt to it. And they believe in their Luciferian satanic gods and demonic beings, which tell them these things, and this is what they've given them to. They're in inversion of what is real light, what is real all, and their symbols are all inverted as well as a result, such as the inverted cross and the inverted pentagon. The world is insubstantial. In next life, all religious doctrine is false. Belief in the inefficacy of sacrifice and ritual. Again, this is practiced in that which is on the left. Anything moving towards the left will move toward this, and the loss in the middle. Impurity has no cause other than chance. Wrong view leads to wrong thought, speech, action. Right views that karma is a real force. Okay, the Bhikkhu Vaga. The Ambala Thikarahulavada Sutta. Now I won't say that twice. On the need for truthfulness and mindfulness at all times. On the parable of the mirror. As the mirror is always reflective, you see yourself in it. If you truly look into the eye and remove the ego, the sheath of ego before you, you will see yourself. This is why many don't really do the spiritual path. They develop ego in the spiritual path by saying that they left ego behind, but then they develop an ego whilst on the spiritual path. This is also a wrong view. So too one should be mindful and always aware of the potential demerit and merit inherent in every thought, word, and deed and intention. The Rahluvada Sutta. Benefits of meditation is focusing on inhalation and exhalation breathing. On meditation upon the internal earth element of the body, the internal water elements of the body, or meditation upon the internal fire elements, burning of anything tasted, imbibed, eaten or enjoyed, internal air elements, internal rising air, stomach air, bowel air, limb air, internal space, elements of ear, nose, mouth, stomach, bowels, being no essential self in anything of the body, thus losing attachment to the earth. In other words, this is having controlled breathing and moving oneself away from the attachment of the vessel. But it also talks about breathing and allowing little energy to pass through all of the elements of the body. Similar to what the Upanishads were discussing, they said the same thing, that Nibbana or enlightenment is reached through all the elements of the body too, as well as the external elements, to understand all things. The nature of the divine is through all things, through the experience and through the passing through of all things. In this way, it's talking about passing through meditative air and energy through all of the body, and therefore also releasing one's awareness from it in meditation, so that we lose attachment to the body whilst in meditative practice, but we're also grounded to it also. Kula Malunka Sutta. This is all. You can do a lot of practice in meditation and the various ways of meditate. There is no wrong or right way. There's one that just aligns with how you are as a being. So find the right thing for yourself and practice that. It will always take you to the right direction. Kula Malunka Sutta. On inappropriate questions the Buddha refuses to answer. Again, we've covered some of this. These are metaphysical things Buddha refused to discuss. Like the world is eternal or non-eternal, or the world is infinite or is not infinite. The body and the soul are the same. The soul and the body are different. The Buddha exists after death, i.e. there's his awareness, what happens to the Buddha always exists because the spirit exists, the soul exists, but there's a body, that's maybe talking about the Buddha, essence of the Buddha, but obviously the body does not. He did not preach, or clarify these things. It seems that Buddha avoided a lot of metaphysical discourse. I don't think there is no inappropriateness to this. I think what the Buddha was really trying to focus on, because he thought it was inappropriate, was that it was a distraction from that which truly moves one away from the incarnational cycle, which is attachment and craving. So I kind of understand what this is trying to say. It's not that the Buddha was thought these were wrong views, that these were a distraction from his true teaching, which he was trying to move his disciples to and the monks to. Okay, the Lunkya Sutta on the 5 low fetters, which is identity with self, material identity, doubt, attachment to empty ritual, to sense desire and ill will. An educated being in the grip of the 5 low fetters, with the use of meditation to cut the 5 low fetters and extinguish desires. The Badali Sutta. Benefits of eating 1 meal per day, few health problems to complete the training. This is also talk about intermittent fasting. This is not overindulgence in food, eating the right food, clean food, removing sugars as much as possible, fats, sodas. We all know we have to eat healthily. We all know we have to eat only what we need rather than be gluttonous. This is something that we all try to practice in modern life, even in historical ascetic life. It's something we do more and more each day. And it's true, we look after our vessel. The vessel supports our journey in physicality, in experience, in how we wish to manifest our lives, but also in our spiritual transcendental journey. If the vessel isn't healthy, we're not going to complete that journey in the manner in which we intended. Natakapana Sutta. Remember, you're responsible for the nature of your vessel. On good attachment to living a holy life, to overcome the suffering of the cycle of rebirth, living the holy life to overcome the 5 hindrances of passion, ill will, indolence, anxiety, and doubt. On cutting the 5 low fetters of identity, view, doubt, attachment to ritual, sense desire, and ill will. It's attachment to the living the holy life. This is what Mahanji was saying, that we repeat every time at the end of every video. Make it a transformative act of spiritual movement in life, not one which is just becomes something that we do as a virtuous act. Gulisani Sutta. Monks should abandon irreverence and impoliteness. Disrespect, fraternizing with households, should cultivate reverence and politeness, right effort, mindfulness, concentration, and knowledge. Again, we can reflect this on ourselves if we're on a spiritual journey too. We can see ourselves as monks in, in this doctrine. Okay, the Varga that comes next is the Paripayanka Makarayaka Varga and the Yavacha Sutta on the three types of knowledge possessed by the Buddha. Remembrance of past lives. We've covered this in the previous Pannasa. Heavenly eye, the ability to see anything everywhere. This is psychical, the psychical eye, the mystical. The way to extinguish suffering and live without impurity. No way for the lay person to reach enlightenment without giving up the lay lifestyle. This is the material lifestyle. This is the matter being, the material being, the desire-driven, the attachment-based, the craving-based being. No other doctrine than Buddha's can lead to heavenly rebirth. This is not the case. As I mentioned, many petals on the lotus flower. There is gnosis. Gnosis is unveiling knowledge. Knowledge means unveiling knowledge from all things, not just one. Of course, in this text, it's going to say that this doctrine is the only one. Every single doctrine says that about their own, but it's the case of study, means study of everything. There's many, many stones across the other side. It's an energetic book with energetic pages, and light, which is information, shines from it and unveils it as you turn the energetic pages, which is really just opening yourself to divine gnosis and knowledge, and your passage towards grace, which is unveiling itself to you. This is the true book that you all seek. But along that passage, we will seek the physical books, the physical doctrines and literature and text and scripture in the world as well, because that also leads us towards opening that, unveiling that internal book and the cosmic library that is accessed from our own spirit. Remember, the soul must move toward the vibration of the spirit, which unveils the cosmic knowing of all things. Okay, the Maha Vecha Gota Sutta. Details of karma. Buddha's definition of demerit is ill will, ignorance, greed, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, harsh language. Definition of merit is abstaining from ill will, ignorance, greed, stealing, sexual misconduct. Of course, the opposites of those things. The three jewels towards that are empty. So three jewels: empty ritual, lust, and ill will or anger, and lead virtuous lives. On mental powers possible for those who progress in Buddha's teachings to the level of being. So the three jewels, which are those precious things that we seek, which are empty, which are ritual, lust, and ill will or anger, but we must lead virtuous lives to dispel them. The Digha Nikaya Sutta. Doctrines and views can lead to conflict with those holding different beliefs. On giving up views that lead to conflict, impermanence of the body is true, is made up primary elements of earth, water, fire, and air. Become free from attachment to the body and from slavishly following the needs and wants that arise from being attached to the body. The first passage is true. Conflict. As I said many times, and I've said before, you will go through many philosophies, many scriptures and doctrines. Don't hold those as being the only ones and have that attached to conflict. Religion has always created conflict because each religious practitioner will follow their own book and fight and kill for it. This is something that is here saying to avoid. Learn what is true, what feels true from each and every one that you pass through, but hold none as the holding belief and that which you will cause conflict with. The true book has no conflict because the true book is within all. Okay. The 12 nidanas, which are ignorance leading to karma formations, which are leading to consciousness, leading to mind and body, leading to six senses, leading to contact, leading to sensations. So this is the downward spiral. Now, this is talking about how karma is formed, and the nidanas, which is coming down the ladder of karma formations to its very foundational form, and then upward again. So this is leading to formations, leading to consciousness, leading to mind and body, leading to six senses, leading to contact. Contact is a physical contact, leading to sensations from physical mind, body, which is earth, which is eye, nose, touch, taste, leading to cravings, leading to clinging of those cravings, leading to becoming, leading to birth, leading to decay and death, and it's the cycle of rebirth. on freedoms from feelings leading to knowledge and release. So it's releasing yourself from all of this ladder down to karmic attachments. Magandhya Sutta. The 5 chords or strands to sense pleasure are pleasant sight, forms, sounds, tastes, smells and touches. These are the 5 senses. Touch, taste, smell, sight, sound, physical form. These are all the things that will cause what we call strands of attachments and cravings and clingings. Sandaka Sutta meditates in order to destroy all desires, emulating Buddha to end the cycle of rebirth and decay. Decay is really the continual birth. Freedom from suffering, the 5 qualities of the Buddha. Supreme virtue, Buddha lives the virtues he preaches. Knowledge and insights, supreme wisdom, and the 4 noble truths. On the 4 right efforts, stopping the rise of evil thoughts, eradicating evil thoughts, creating positive thoughts and sustaining positive thoughts. On the 4-fold spiritual powers, concentrate supported by determination and keenness, vigor, which is movement, action, a pure mind and inquiry, which is constant study and meditation and allowing grace to unfold the invisible book, open it up and the pages turn. On the 5 mental faculties leading to perfection, which is faith, vigor, again, energy, movement, mindfulness, concentration, and developing unveiling wisdom. On the 5 strength powers, faith, again, vigor, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. On the 7 factors of enlightenment, mindfulness, investigation into Buddha's teaching, vitality, joy, serenity, which is peace, concentration, and equanimity, which is treating all the same and as equals. So there's quite a lot there to unwrap, but I would ask you to just repeat that over and over to understand what all of these are, because they are part of our overall practice, but don't be so prescriptive in them because they will all come naturally. Okay, the Samyutta Nikaya Sutta. The qualities of a true holy man. Commits no sin by the body, commits no sin by thought, commits no sin by speech, commits no sin by livelihood. Interesting. If we all manage to do that, we will always have... sin is just... it's a harsh word. I would say it's... performing anything with those action, words, thoughts and intention which isn't really taking us to our transcendental nature, but forgive yourself for doing so. Because we do have lapses. It depends how extreme those lapses are, which is what you should be mindful of, and how often. For a small child commits none of these sins. On the 4-fold right effort of meditation and mindfulness that leads to the prevention of new bad karma, eliminates existing bad karma, generates new good karma and maintains good karma. On the 4 meditative ecstasies or yanas, and pushing the mind into effort beyond the 4-fold right effort. The 10 characteristics of a perfect holy person attains each step of the noble eightfold path, which leads to attainment of knowledge and right enlightenment. Again, as you see, there's always mentioning all of these eightfold, 4-fold paths and these 10 characteristics. If I put these in every single passage, we would have a deck of like 30, 40 slides. We just need to refer back to what these are. We'll be covering them all at the end. Every single one, every single element of this practice, philosophy and approach, we will cover them all. So we'll have a reference at the end. Kulasa Dulukdeya Sutta. Questions regarding the origination of or being of things. Buddha answered, when this is, that is. That was his question. So remember, he doesn't like to talk about metaphysical and questions that he doesn't deem as appropriate or useful. When this increases, that increases. When this isn't, that isn't. When this ceases, that ceases. So it's a very, very atypical Vedic response, actually, to something. It doesn't really tell you anything, but at the same time answers the question at the same time. But it's asking you to take meditative thought into what's being said. when that is, this is. Well, it's obviously talking about that which causes something else. It's karma, causality. When this increases, that increases. Again, causality. When this isn't, that isn't. Again, causality. When this ceases, that ceases. Again, it's a movement towards nibbana and releasing one from rebirth, and also karma. So everything is talking about action, word, thoughts and intention, the balance of all, and moving the cycle of dharma into ourself, unveiling gnosis, which then evolves all of these elements that is referred to here in a very nondescript way. A lot of gurus still talk like this. Actually, they just merely repeat what is in age-old text to confuse and the sheep that follow. Remember, a true teacher will explain these things to you and not use this kind of very abstract language. This is just to make them seem superior spiritually and evolution, so you worship. I dislike this approach a lot, and this channel will dispel that, and I'll explain everything to you. If I haven't done enough explanation, please let me know, and I will explain everything that I read to you in a modern way of explaining it that can be useful and adapted to your own passage, as it is my own. The Raja Vaga, Radhapala Sutta. Radhapala, son, becoming a venerable disciple of Buddha. Radhapala's son, becoming a venerable disciple of Buddha, returning home and easily resisting the wealth and the women his parents offer him. The condition he leaves Buddha's order. On the four forms of loss, by aging and decay, by illness, by wealth, of family and friends. So he's recognized that these are the elements of loss, so he goes back to his family and is able to resist them. On the four worldly truth, the world is impermanent. There is no shelter from the world's impermanence. This is true. There's no shelter from the illusion of permanence, of manifestation of physicality. Nothing can be owned in this world, and the craving in the world can never be satisfied. Hungry ghost. It's very true. Madhura Sutta. Buddha disagreed with the caste system. I absolutely abhor the caste system. It's abhorrent in India and in other countries that follow it too. Not so explicitly, but it's there. The Brahmin caste set themselves above everyone else based on spurious claims of superiority. This happens today, by the way, in all countries where caste in the Indian culture is practiced, implicitly or explicitly, hidden or exposed. It's still there, believe it or not. It exists, even if and though it's hidden in the mind and consciousness of families that they don't like to show it, but it's there. Buddha's arguments, all persons regardless of caste are equal. This is true. Every person on this planet has the same spiritual path before them, an ability to complete it, faster than anyone who calls them a Brahmin if they choose to. All lawbreakers have the potential to seek and gain merit. They do. It's free will and intention that keeps us. It's our own choice. Remember, we own our merit, we own our karma, we own our passage. Few Brahmins can really prove their heritage. A lot of Brahmins call themselves Brahmins and see themselves exceptional just purely because they were born in a family or a caste that is in a family in that caste. Only so much silly boasting on morality as the source of human nobility, not birth, name or creatures. I couldn't agree more with this passage than anything else. Do not feel that anyone is greater than you or lesser than you. As I said, just because they wear priestly robes, crowns, sit on pedestals, pulpits or balconies looking down upon you, they are not greater than you in any way, shape or form. Okay, the Bodhi Rajakumara Sutta. Buddha leaving the home of a young man, studying under the teacher Ala Kalama, who taught nothingness. Remember, this is one. These are disciples of Buddha who left and started developing their own doctrines. Then the teacher Kuddaka Ramaputta led to neither perception or non-perception. Becoming own teacher, working towards enlightenment, discovered three comparisons. Water-soaked wood pulled from water cannot be burned as a sense-soaked person cannot attain enlightenment. This is true. So what he's talking about here is a water-soaked wood is akin, and when it cannot be burned means it cannot be given an additional knowledge because it's soaked with materialism, attachment and craving to matter. And he's talking about here, water-soaked wood on dry land cannot be burned as a person. Even not sense-drenched but eternally unreadied cannot attain enlightenment. Even if it's soaked and it's on dry land, which is allowing its enlightenment, it still cannot because it is soaked with materialism. A dry piece of wood on dry land can be burned as a person free from sense desire and internally readied. So we're really talking about someone who's material, who's obsessed with materialism, who's soaked with matter, clinging and attachment. He's talking to someone who's also the same but on dry land, but hasn't released that attachment and clinging, but he's on dry land looking for enlightenment, but he hasn't released it. And then it's looking at someone who is free from all of these desires and open to enlightenment. Buddha is seeing the world full of pure and impure individuals, intelligent and dull individuals, good natures and evil natures. Some would be saved by his teachings, some obviously would not. The Buddha's decision to teach his doctrine to the world, Buddha's first lesson, set the wheel of Dhamma in motion precisely. Just merely set the wheel of gnosis in motion is what one needs to do, and persist in this, which is the faith. The 5 bases of spiritual progress: faith in Buddha, good health, looking after the vessel. If the vessel is not healthy, you will never complete your spiritual intention. Keen to eliminate bad karma, walk on the golden path of grace sets before you, allow it to unfold your life. You will automatically execute life with the intentions, action, words and thoughts that grace has imposed because your soul is moving to the vibration of spirit. Your garment is changing to the garment of grace itself. Okay, Agyu Limala Sutta. On redemption, Agyu Limala's crimes. His crimes were the destruction of villages and all who lived in them. This is a person who committed many crimes. And collecting fingers in a garland. Buddha travelling alone to confront Agyu-gilama. Agyu-gilama intended to kill Buddha, but he converted to Buddha's peaceful doctrines after Buddha spoke to him. Agyu-gilama frequently attached with sticks and was frequently attacked afterwards. As he went through his ascetic life, he walked the ascetic life and he walked out amongst others. And those who had also done negative things to, they attacked him with sticks and stones. And Buddha advised him to bear this suffering and to atone for his bad karma. Well, it kind of speaks to itself. It's cause and effect, isn't it? It's energy reversing itself back to the one. And so this is really just cause and effect. Irrigators shape the flow of water. Fletchers bend arrows, carpenters bend wood, and the wise tame the self. Very good little parable there. Piya Yatika Sutta. Buddha's comment on to the grieving father: those whom you care for bring you sorrow and unhappiness, against which the happiness they bring you pales. On blame, so this is basically talking about on the grieving father, those whom you care for bring you sorrow and unhappiness. So it's basically caring for those who are constant bringing negative and bring sorrow persistently, which overwhelm the happiness that they give this individual. So he's asking this individual to make a choice. Bahita Sutta. On blameworthy thoughts, speech, thoughts, word and actions that harm oneself, that harm others, or both. Exactly. On praiseworthy thoughts, speech and action, rule of the Buddha's order not to accept donations of money. Okay, the Dhamma Sitaya Sutta. King Pasinadis Seen some monks live the holy life for 40 years and then giving it up for sensual pleasures. So he saw some monks who run the decades of holy life and then suddenly fall out of grace into the material realm. Buddha's monks live their faith until the very moment of death. Sickly looking holy men hiding secret demerits. So this is really talking about holy, unvirtuous acts and negative energy will always show itself in the face and in the health and the energy of those who practice it. I will only ask you to look at those that you think are not living, were not exhibiting negative karma for the things they do, even though you see them as perpetually powerful, wealthy. They will always end up in crutches or a wheelchair. Their faces will always be elderly and old, age horribly, because their actions and their energy are shown through the darkness of their eyes, the vileness of their features, of their skin, the wrinkliness of their arched and crooked backs, and they will always end up in life with cancerous or some wheelchair or something, no matter how privileged their life has been. This is because energy will always take its toll. Negative energy will constantly take its toll on those who look to deceive you, the snake, the demon in human clothes. You see them all around you. Look at those you've given your power to, those you worship, and see what you really see, and you will understand what I've just said. Kanakathala Sutta, Buddha declaring that no one can be omniscient. Invalidity of the caste system. On the equality of all persons. Qualities of those endowed with faith in Buddha, good health, honesty, reveal their authentic selves. In other words, be true to self and start the journey. You can never be truly omniscient, in other words, cognizant of everything everywhere all the time, because this is something that can only be achieved not in body or in vessel or experiencing form in this universe. Okay, the Brahmana Vaga. The Brahmaya Sutta. 32 marks of a great man possessed by the Buddha. We obviously went through these. On the 2 fates of a great man. To become a universal monarch or become a Buddha. Well, we're all trying to achieve that state of being. On the response of the Buddha when questioned about his enlightenment. I understood from what was to be understood. Cultivation was what to be cultivated, and eliminated what was to be eliminated. Therefore, I am enlightened. In other words, Buddha understood from himself what enlightenment required for him to be, what was to be understood, and no other than veiled from within. What needed to be cultivated, what was transcendental enlightenment, transcendental and transformative spiritual movement. What needs to be limited, cultivation of elimination of craving and the humanness of being human, the manifestation of human, the material realm. Doesn't mean detachment from it, but detachment not becoming a product of it and from it, and therefore understood what enlightenment was required of itself. The Asalayana Sutta. The Brahmin Asalayana was sent by a group of Brahmins to defeat the Buddha. This was an arrogant Brahmin. If the Indian 4-caste system is correct, why are all humans, regardless of caste, born of woman? If the 4-caste system is correct, why do all persons share the same fate? A rebirth in hell or a heavenly rebirth? Are the capability of cultivating loving kindness? If the 4-caste system is correct, why are we all people, regardless of caste, able to perform the same rituals? On there being no reasons to agree with or support the Brahmin caste in their belief that they are superior human beings by virtue of birth. So basically he's questioning it. He's saying, well, if you're so special, why are you still born as a woman than that other caste which is so lower that you think it only should clean the toilets? Why is that person who can clean the toilets can have the same fate as you in hell or heavenly rebirth or cycle of rebirth? Can also be loving and kind, Why could they perform the same rituals to whichever gods you perform them to? So he's basically saying there, you are no different, you are the same, it's just your ego says and has convinced you of this. Okay, Gotu Mukha Sukha. On two groups of people, those attached to worldly things, those who are not attached. Kanki Sutta. Brahmin Kanki to visit the Buddha. Other Brahmins insisting Buddha should visit Kanki and Kanki shouldn't visit the Buddha. Well, this is an arrogant view. Buddha gave up his family wealth, teaches teachers, had 32 marks of a great man, examining teachers for trustworthiness, seeing if they are free of ill will, ignorance and greed. Wisdom supported by truth realized through deep reflection. So they're basically saying that if somebody wants to visit Buddha, they should visit him. Buddha doesn't need to visit them. Esukari Sutta. Buddha believed that high birth, attractive appearance and vast fortune do not make a person noble. I don't need to explain that part of it. For these people may engage in killing morality basis, determining the nobility of persons, every human being, to cultivate loving kindness and to undertake ablutions. Now, this is true. How many engage in killing and immorality that have vast fortunes and attractive appearances and in this world seem to be elevated only in the human world, in this human loss, in this human paradigm which we're trying to evolve away from. Okay, Dhananjani Sutta. On the fate of the unvirtuous pursuing the path of wrong livelihood, regardless of reasons for the unvirtuous living, on the fate of the unvirtuous, on how to be born in the heavenly realm of Brahma, to meditate, spreading in all directions. This means moving perception in all directions, removing ego. This is transformative, transcendental, spiritual journey and movement through thoughts of loving kindness, compassion and deep joy. This is attained through that passage. The closer you get to understanding grace and allowing grace in, your joy emits from oneself. The Vasetha Sutta, on the question of what makes a Brahmin, classification of life according to their birth, vegetation, insects and snakes, with human is not apparent at birth but becomes apparent by occupation, farmer, craftsperson, all human beings born with impurity. What is impurity? Well, impurity just could mean we all born open and with connected to spirit in an open nature, and those are closed down through then human life. Impurity just could mean our soul garment. What is impurity? Well, it's just what have we made our soul garment? What is that garment? Is it of light? Is it dark? Is it dense? Is it thick? Is it dark? Is it translucent? Is it moving towards spirit or is it moving towards the left? What Buddha says makes a true Brahmin is one who has purified themselves and eliminating craving, freeing from all bonds, worldly desires, destroyed the cycle of rebirth, holy living and self-control as the way to become a Brahmin. Sangharava Sutta, the three types of person claiming the mastery of the higher spiritual knowledge. Claim on the word of mouth as the Brahmin caste does, base their claim on faith that in their own logic and assumptions, and those who base their claims on the true knowledge and attainment of true knowledge. So Brahmin caste just blame their knowledge just on birth itself and the repeating doctrine that they spread, or you can do it basing on the true knowledge and attainment of true knowledge, which I've always said will always ultimately come from yourself, from the opening from the energetic book of grace within you, on believing in gods with belief supported by reason, but that the existence of the gods is taken as a given. There's only one divine all. The others you will pass through and ultimately leave behind. Okay, and thank you. The second coming is you, as we mentioned.